6 forms of frugality that weaken the spirit. Have you ever clung to an old object, whispering, "It might still be useful," even though you haven't touched it in years? Or forced yourself to finish spoiled leftovers, just to avoid the guilt of throwing food away, while your body silently begged you to stop? You believed you were being wise, but what if that kind of thrift is quietly stealing your energy, your peace, and your freedom? Welcome to Live Stoic, Live Strong, where we trade illusions for truth. Joyless, where emotions are felt but not obeyed. Where clarity is power and discipline is freedom. Joyless, 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 joyless. This is not just a channel, IR's challenge. It's a mindset. It's a journey of conscious living. Let's begin. Isla's story. The closet she never opened. For over a decade, Isla kept a small linen closet at the end of her hallway. Always closed, always avoided. It had become almost invisible to her eyes, yet somehow heavy on her heart. Inside that narrow space were things she no longer touched, but couldn't bear to part with. Old college sweaters, long out of style, cracked vases from a grandmother whose face had started to blur in memory, gifts she never opened, still wrapped in faded paper. And at the back, like a ghost, she never spoke to her wedding dress from a quiet marriage that had quietly ended. Every time Isla passed that door, a part of her chest tightened, not because of what was inside, but because of what it meant. Memories she hadn't faced. Lives she had already outgrown. Grief she had never named. She whispered excuses to herself. Maybe I'll use this someday. It's wasteful to let it go. But deep down, she knew what stayed in that closet was not useful. It was a weight. One cold winter morning, after a sleepless night with only tea and silence for company, Isla walked down the hall. She stopped, stood in front of the door, and this time, with trembling hands, she opened it. No rush, no judgment. One item at a time, she picked them up, held them. She remembered what once was, forgave herself for what never became, and began to release. Some things she donated, others she recycled. A few she placed in a small tin and burned under the stars, letting the smoke carry her quiet goodbyes. With each shelf emptied, she felt the air grow lighter. With every bag removed, her heart felt less crowded. By the time the closet stood bare, Isla didn't just feel relief, she felt clarity. A stillness. A freedom she didn't know she had missed. She smiled, not because everything was tidy, but because she had finally let go of a life that no longer belonged to her. And this is not just Isla's story. It's ours. Other. Every time we choose peace over possession, honesty over guilt, clarity over clutter, Vather has bad. Letting go isn't giving up. It's an act of quiet courage, a soft rebellion, and the beginning of something truer. From the bottom of my heart, I want to express my sincere gratitude to each and every one of you, no matter where you are in the world, for taking the time to watch this video. Your presence and support are the driving force that keeps me creating and sharing. No words can truly capture the depth of my appreciation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing. And thank you for walking this journey with me. Frugality isn't about denying yourself joy, beauty, or comfort. True frugality is the art of spending with clarity, aligning each choice with your deeper purpose. The most dangerous form of waste is not what we discard, but what we continue to tolerate out of fear or habit. Below are 6 distorted versions of thrift that don't free the soul, but quietly bind it. 1. Hoarding the old and broken. That coat still fits. Maybe I'll wear it someday. This pan has a crack, but it still holds water. And so, gradually, your closet turns into a graveyard of faded clothes. The shelves bow under forgotten shoes. Your kitchen becomes cluttered with dented pots and rusty gadgets you no longer touch. But these things don't just sit there harmlessly. They weigh on you, visibly and invisibly. They clutter your space and cloud your mind. Each item you no longer use is a silent thief of clarity. It holds the energy of indecision, of guilt, of what once was but no longer serves. The Stoic does not cling. What no longer serves you, release. What you do not use, let go or pass on. Freedom begins not in acquiring more, but in keeping only what supports the life you want to live. 2. Forcing the body to consume what it rejects. Don't waste food, we tell ourselves. Better to eat it than throw it away, even when our body tightens. Even when the smell warns us. Even when every bite feels like a punishment, not a blessing. But food, once spoiled, no longer nourishes. A portion too large becomes a burden, not a gift. True wisdom doesn't fear waste. It prevents it ahead of time. Plan with care. Cook with intention. Let each meal be a moment of nourishment, not a guilt-ridden ritual of force. Let eating be sacred, not stressful. 3. Buying cheap, living poorly. The discount tag whispers, "This is a smart choice." You grab it. It feels like a win, until it breaks a week later. The handle falls off. The fabric fades. The zipper jams. What seemed like a bargain now demands replacement. Again. And again. And again. In the end, cheap often costs more. Not just in money, but in frustration, waste, and lost time. The Stoic doesn't chase what's cheap, but what's worthy. One well-crafted tool, one durable pair of shoes, one quality shirt. These outlast 10 cheaper versions. Character is revealed not in how little you spend, but in what you choose to invest in. Value pays you back quietly, day after day. When thrift becomes fear, when saving becomes hoarding, when planning becomes punishment, that's when frugality loses its soul. After exploring how false thrift can trap us, through hoarding, forcing, and chasing the cheap, we now continue with 3 more subtle habits that seem wise, but quietly drain our space, time, and spirit. 4. Keeping the useless to avoid return fees. The package arrives. Ill-hua, the item inside. Ill-fitting, unwanted, unnecessary. But then comes the hesitation. It'll cost money to send it back. So it stays. Weeks pass. The object sits untouched. Still boxed, still useless, forgotten in a corner, or shoved into a drawer. But what truly costs more? The small shipping fee, or the silent clutter now occupying your space and weighing down your mind? Each object that serves no purpose becomes a whisper of regret, a tiny thief of peace. The home becomes a museum of indecision. The mind mirrors the mess. Let go. Without guilt, without second-guessing. A clear space, physically and mentally, is far more valuable than any item you quietly resent keeping. 5. Always saying, "When I have money, then I will." There are those who live not in the present, but in a distant fantasy of someday. When I have more money, I'll finally rest. I'll travel. I'll start living fully. but that someday keeps slipping further away, like the horizon. And while waiting for a better time, they miss this time, the one that's real. The Stoic does not waste today hoping for a richer tomorrow. He lives with balance. Not recklessly, but not in delay either. To live moderately does not mean postponing joy. It means choosing it wisely now. Ask yourself, how much of life are you deferring in the name of financial caution? What would it mean to live, not lavishly, but intentionally, in this moment? 6. Mistaking joy for waste. There are those who look at beauty and call it useless. A flower on the table? Unnecessary. A warm, well-cooked meal? Too much. A soft bed? Luxury. They believe discipline means discomfort, and joy must be sacrificed to prove strength. But joy, when chosen with mindfulness and proportion, is not waste. It's wisdom. It's a form of deep gratitude. To savor life's simple pleasures is not indulgence. It's presence. The Stoic does not fear comfort. He does not scorn beauty. He simply does not let them rule him. He chooses wisely, enjoys fully, and lets go easily. Frugality, in its truest form, is not driven by fear, guilt, or pride. It is rooted in purpose. It is led by reason. Spend, not to impress, but to express. Save, not to avoid life, but to live it more freely. The wise are not rich because they own much, but because they need little to feel whole. Frugality is not about less. It's about less, but better. Let go of what clutters. Choose what serves. Live not in fear of waste, but in clarity of purpose. The wise are not owned by things. They own their choices. And in choosing less, they gain everything. Thank you for your time. If an idea in this video touched you, let it settle in your heart. Each time you return, you might hear something new. Perhaps it will reach even deeper. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. See you in the next video, where we'll take another step together on this journey of inner discovery.